Make Me Blue. Whoa, whoa, not violet. I didn't say violet, blue. We're finally in 1960, and Conway's first album of the decade is Lonely Blue Boy.
And now, a music detective song story.
When Lonely Blue Boy was first written, it was titled Danny. The song was written by Ben Wiseman, who wrote more songs recorded by Elvis than anyone else, and Fred Weiss, who wrote many of the songs for Elvis for his movies.
They could not find a picture of me.
The song would first be recorded by Elvis in 1958 for his movie, King Creole, but it was cut from the film. The song would be retitled to Lonely Blue Boy and released by Conway Twitty in late 1959, meaning the first pressings were with a yellow background. Lonely Blue Boy would become the Cashbox Pick of the Week in December of 1959. The song would also be a Billboard Spotlight pick. The song would first appear on the Cashbox charts in January of 1960 at number 100, while Conway's version of Danny Boy was still on the chart at number 42. The two boys would also be on the Billboard chart together, and it wouldn't be just the American charts they would share. In May of 1960, they would both occupy slots in Italy's top 10 bestsellers. Before the end of January 1960, Lonely Blue Boy would catch fire and become MGM's fastest seller. It would sell over 400,000 in less than 3 weeks. Lonely Blue Boy would climb to its highest peak on the Billboard Hot 100 on February 8th, just missing the top 5 at number 6. The song would peak at number 8 on Cashbox Top 100 on February 13th, 1960. A month later, in March, the Lonely Blue Boy album would be released and given 4 stars by Billboard. Cashbox would call the album an infectious session, which the teenagers will go for in a big way. Funny enough, a song originally intended to be in a film would find itself related to Conway's brief film career at MGM. Hoping that they could turn Conway into the next Elvis, MGM would create a promotion in April of 1960 around the Lonely Blue Boy album and Conway's feature film, Platinum High School. In May of 1960, Conway would find himself going to all sorts of conventions, touring England, and attending parties. The song would become a million seller, making it Conway's second entry on that list, joining It's Only Make Believe. Popular enough, Conway would later change the name of his band to the Lonely Blue Boys. The original Elvis version of the song, just after Elvis's death, was finally released in 1978 on a compilation album, Elvis, A Legendary Performer, Volume 3. And in 1997, after a 39-year wait, RCA released an expanded edition of the King Creole soundtrack and finally included Danny. In 2002, Conway's version of the song would make it into a film and onto its soundtrack. The movie was Punk Drunk Love, starring Adam Sandler and Emily Watson.
Now it's time for a music detective's detailed inspection.
Lonely Blue Boy would be the only single released from the album, which was released in early 1960. The pattern of confusion just continued just like it did in 1959 with Hey Little Lucy. Instead, the song was What I Am Living For. We'll detail the marketing mess in our next video. An EP was also released for Lonely Blue Boy, but unlike the Conway albums of '59, which had 3 volumes, Lonely Blue Boy only had 1 EP, X1701. The EP didn't include Lonely Blue Boy, just 4 other songs from the album, Just Because and Trouble in Mind on side 1, and Pretty Eyed Baby and Eternal Tears on side 2. According to one of the research materials, X1701 also came with a picture sleeve. Now I've searched the internet and have not been able to find a picture of it. If you have, I would love to see a picture, so let me know in the comments below. I can't imagine it looked anything like the Italian picture sleeve. Lonely Blue Boy's journey with Conway started in 1959, and as such, the original pressings of the 45 are in the yellow background. Here we see the Lonely Blue Boys 45 with the black background. K12857, the 1960 pressing. The other side containing Star Spangled Heaven. Now, Star Spangled Heaven was written by Conway, but was not on the Lonely Blue Boy album. It would find its way onto a Conway album, but that's still years away. We'll point that out when we come to it in a later video. Lonely Blue Boy also had its own special disc jockey record for the DJs. Looking at the British release of Lonely Blue Boy, we see that it wasn't paired with Star Spangled Heaven like it was in the US, but with My One and Only You, which was from his first album, Conway Twitty Sings. You can see the marks here in the circle that the small adapter that was fastened to the British 45s has been knocked out. The previous owner likely needed the larger hole for their record player, as that was the reason it was only attached in 4 small areas. For this very thing, to punch it out and play it. Let's look at the Lonely Blue Boy album, E3818, with the BQ MGM logo and a Lowe's Incorporated copyright. Flipping it over, we see at the very top a misaligned title in a small font. In addition to having the artist and the album on the spine, MGM would print the information on the top fold for easier identification when looking for your collection or finding it in a record store. And this practice didn't last very long. The mono record label is now with the black background. If you see one with the yellow background, chances are you're looking at an international print. The American pressings will all have black backgrounds. The international records usually lagged behind when it came to the art. Looking at stereo version, you can see the stereo logo is being pointed to by 2 big arrows. Each letter in the word stereo is in its own block, and just like last time, they didn't mess with the mono artwork at all. Just shifted it downward, even leaving the mono catalog number. The back of the stereo album, again the same as the mono, but with updated catalog number and a message down here in fine print. Important, this MGM stereophonic record is to be played on phonographs equipped for stereophonic reproduction. This record can give outstanding mono performance on many conventional high-fidelity phonographs by replacing the cartridge with a stereo pickup. See your phonograph serviceman. So, picked up my phone, spoke to the operator, and asked her to connect me with my local phonograph serviceman. After a long pause, I heard some laughing, and I decided to hang up. It seemed I wasn't going to get anywhere with my request. Make matters worse, Siri and Lexus weren't any help either. Show me stereo pickups. All they friggin' gave me were pictures of trucks. So what's the difference between a mono pickup and a stereo pickup? It comes down to wiring. Stereo needs a channel for both the left and right audio. Mono, all the sounds are in one signal. So to get the right signal and the left signal, you need more wires. Now you're not going to get stereo sound out of a mono player, but the stereo pickup that would be installed would get both signals and merge them into one. Otherwise, it wouldn't sound right. And finally, looking at the stereo record, there's nothing very different from its mono counterpart, except stereo and the 45/45 wording. Now you may be wondering if someone bought a mono album and when they opened it, found a stereo record like this inside. Well, yes, that happened. But usually there was a sticker to give you some sort of warning, and we will cover more surprises like those in our next video. Well, that does it for this episode. If you like what you saw, hit the like button below. Also subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And if you have any comments, go ahead and leave them below.